into the dialogue and get people back to their days.
Very good. Sounds good. All right, let me just go ahead and clip to the agenda, Andrew, and I'm going to go ahead and minimize everyone. And there you go.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I think today it's a relatively a short agenda. The conversation may be longer, but first and foremost, wanted to make sure that everybody was well aware that we have a new board member. So Kim Shanahan has joined the board. Not sure if Kim's joining us right away. I know she had some other early conflicts, Lisa, so she may be joining us a little later on. I didn't see her.
I think she's jumping on right now, Andrew.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. She's on her way in.
Good. So then all important update is customer traction and growth. So Lisa and Mike will take us through some of the elements there. Certainly the marketing strategy and some of the progress we've made since we last spoke, and then of course traction on sales. And then finally just talk a little bit about our path forward. There's a number of different keys there, but obviously our financial projections, the new Series A2 raise that we've launched. I'd like to talk to that a little bit, and just how we see the next quarter to 6 months playing out, and what the opportunities and challenges are going to be in that time frame. So with that, Lisa, I turn it back to you, and hopefully Kim has had a chance to have a breath and is ready to talk to folks.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you all for joining us today. We are definitely excited to share updates with you today and get everyone together. One of the most exciting parts of today is that we get to welcome our new board member, Kim Shanahan, to the board of directors. We have had the chance to get to know Kim over the past, I would say it's almost going on 4 to 6 months now, Kim, since we were first introduced. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I did send around and post on Monday a press release that talked a little bit more about Kim's background and all of the value that Kim brings with joining our board. And she's also just an absolutely wonderful person and such a pleasure to work with. So with that, Kim, I will hand it over to you to say hello to our investors.
Thank you. That's so nice. This is why one of the reasons I joined, so I can hear things like that. I am so excited to join the board. I think it's been so interesting to, I've had this crazy career that's blended corporate strategy, human resources, and then I've had client-facing roles for many years focused on both HR management development as well as executive search. So worked with clients from all over the world and all different sizes and situations. And one of the key themes is, as we all know, and frankly, one of the reasons why we're here and solving this issue is performance management systems today and solutions today are actually not generally working. And so, we hear it all the time, and it was kind of all these forces coming together that I was able to take a look at Truvelop and not only test the tool and solution and have some experience with it, but also start introducing the company to different potential customers. So, I am so excited. I think it solves a huge need, big opportunity, especially during this time and what we're facing from remote workforces, et cetera, but even beyond that. So in terms of how I plan to spend my time, certainly supporting the investors, and that's, that area, of course, the raise, for sure I'll participate in that. And then really help with both brand recognition on the social media side, as well as clearly introducing the company and Lisa and Mike and team to potential customers. So in terms of sales pipeline, that's where I really am going to spend and have been spending a good amount of time. And feedback has been awesome so far. So I've introduced them to a lot of heads of HR and soon to be CEOs, and it's been great. So thank you for the nice welcome.
Thank you so much, Kim. We're so glad to have you. And we also appreciate Doug Goki's support, as Doug has helped during this transition period and will continue to be supporting us as time allows. So we have so many fantastic resources available and are always there to offer support no matter what time of day it is. So we can't thank our team enough. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about, in the next section, our customer traction, our growth. We'll take a look at our active customers, give you an update on the conversations we've had with strategics. We'll look at some utilization statistics, of course, which is near and dear to my heart, and also the customer success management process and some of the really cool things that we're doing on the CSM side to keep our customers engaged. So a lot going on in this slide, but I think the key points to point out here is that we have 18 customers on the platform today. And as I had mentioned in my summary email that I sent out last week, we did add a new customer recently, Apartment Turnovers out of Brockville, Maryland. So great job by the sales team on closing Apartment Turnovers. Just a little bit about that new customer. They have right around 100 employees, and they do expect to grow in 2021. And interestingly enough, this was a lead that was a direct result of our SEO, our search strategy. So absolutely exciting to see some inbound activity coming from that, which is really exciting. And that means that Truvelop is showing up as part of a search inquiry. So that's very, very important for us. Since our last investor meeting in June, we also onboarded 2 new customers. That would include Transcend and CST Group. Also, we had Harkins Builders complete their expansion company-wide and now has 250 employees on the platform. That has been a true partnership, and Kathy Hum, who is their director of HR, is now a go-to resource anytime we need a customer referral, anytime there's a really strong prospect who wants to reach out. Kathy is definitely a go-to, and she's such an inspiring person to work with and partner with. We're doing some really cool things at Harkins, and that has been an excellent learning experience for us when you take a company and a customer from pilot to expansion across the company, and that has been really a lot of great lessons learned. On the other customer expansion, we recently reviewed our pilot results with Upper Chesapeake Health. Now, Upper Chesapeake Health is part of the University of Maryland Medical System, and that pilot was approximately 4 months long. We had 100% manager utilization from that pilot group, and the pilot group was right around 150 or so employees. The feedback from the management team was excellent. They really got on board with this platform, and this was truly taking frontline managers and supervisors who have an incredibly stressful job and putting the value of the mobile app in their hands. The next step at Upper Chesapeake will be for their VP of HR to review the results with the CHRO of the UMS medical system. That would allow for further expansion within Upper Chesapeake. Upper Chesapeake has over 1,000 employee population, and last week they also agreed to be the topic of our next case study, which will focus on frontline healthcare workers, how they've utilized the app, and the value that they see in a continuous performance management and development approach. So very excited about that pilot and helping them move towards expansion. We have 2 customers that remain on hold due to COVID related to budgetary constraints. those two customers are delayed, 2 additional customers are delayed on their implementation for the same reason, and we've indicated those on the list here. So Paul's Beauty Warehouse, Capital Meats, the Arc of the Northern Chesapeake, a nonprofit, and then Phillips Foods. So there are some, some customers that are still experiencing very difficult times as it relates to COVID. So taking a look at the number of EEIDs that we have on the platform today, we have over 1,200 employees on Truvelop today, and that carries an average ACV of 7,400 and an ARR of 118. Our customers, as of this moment, when I pulled the data on Monday, have completed over 6,000 evaluations and 1,500 sparks. So evaluation is your regular recurring eval that they're basically, for the most part, most customers will complete that evaluation once or twice a month. Most of them have committed to monthly. And what that means, then you layer on top of that the 1,500 real-time feedback sparks. So all in all, we're collecting a very strong data set, and it's growing every month. Our algorithm accuracy remains around 97%. That's a consistent rating for us, and that is based on when an evaluator completes an evaluation, they're asked a question to validate if the results that were reported are consistent with their interactions with the employee. And the evaluators respond yes 97% of the time. Our manager utilization rates remain excellent at 100% among our active customers that have come out of pilot, that have come out of training, and that are actively using the platform. Right now, our average number of evaluations completed per managed employee runs around 8.5, and that data obviously continues to be updated regularly week over week as we receive more and more evaluations. I had a great conversation with Joey McCord this morning, our CTO, and one of the questions that I asked Joey was, if I was to put in some sort of stat talking about how stable and how strong the platform is and the 0 support calls that we get, how should I phrase that? And Joey said, very simple. We have experienced 99.9% product uptime since launch. So great job to Joey and the team. And of course, that speaks to the fantastic support we get from One Rivet and the product that we put in the market. So really all good things to report on that perspective. Lastly, just to mention our channel partners that we like to reference on this slide as well. What we've listed here is our top 5 channel partners who are actively out there pushing leads our way, talking about the product, talking about how transformative the product is. We've added Kim's firm in here as well at the top, Accelerate. And again, we can't tell you how great it has been to have calls week over week with Kim and her team to talk about top prospects or find out if someone that we're talking to Kim may know or have a relationship with. And that has been really exciting as we talk about strategies for approaching other customers that are in the larger scale enterprise space. So pretty exciting things going on there. I did add 2 channel partners at the bottom in italics, Kelly Payroll and PaySteady. So Kelly Payroll, we are in active discussions with right now to be a preferred vendor for them on the performance management and development side. We're actually exchanging red lines on our channel partner agreement with them right now. And PaySteady is also an interesting opportunity for us where we are actively speaking with them about how we get this channel partner relationship off the ground with them as well. And again, those channel partners, those relationships are key. And that gives us the ability to have the Truvelop product being pushed to prospects that we may have not had an opportunity to pitch to otherwise. So really strong traction on the channel partner side. Conversations on strategics. Again, as we talked about during our last investor presentation, strategics are a very important part of our overall strategy. And strategics are a little bit different, very different from our channel partners, in that strategics are those HR technology products out there that offer complementary HR tech modules. Or, for example, they might have a payroll solution, but may not necessarily have a performance management module. And as a best in breed performance management and development solution, with the high utilization rates that we have today and a growing data set, we are very well positioned to have strategic partnership conversations with multiple players in the HR tech space. You'll notice that Kelly Payroll Services and PaySteady appear here, again, not only as a channel partner, but a potential strategic partnership opportunity. And again, that's based on Kelly Payroll. If anyone here knows Kelly locally, they do have an aging payroll and HRIS system. And they have offered today a very dated performance management solution. And PaySteady is in a position to recommend specific performance management and development solutions to their customers. So again, that's just a big opportunity for us there. And these conversations are very relevant, as we mentioned before. Right now, we're seeing an increase in all of these discussions, as many of these HCM solutions, they need to address what's going on currently across the HR tech landscape, and they have to be able to remain competitive in a post-COVID world. Once we get there, and during this very difficult time, they have to be able to solve for the future of work. So I included the press release that went out earlier this week, or it was at the end of last week, where Paycor has announced the acquisition of 7 Geese. And for those of you who have been with us from the beginning, we spent a lot of time doing research in the HR tech market on performance management and development solutions. And 7 Geese is also a best in breed performance management and development solution. And they are in that small to medium sized space. So here you have Paycor, who is a mammoth HCM offering that has acquired Paycor in just the last few weeks. So a lot of interesting developments in HR tech, and I encourage everyone to follow those developments as closely as we do. Customer success management, I won't spend a ton of time on this, but I think it's worth sharing that once our customers come on board as a customer and they sign our client services agreement, that's when you have the handoff to CSM. And that's where our small but mighty team on the CSM side picks up. And we recently were able to bring on Samantha Clavelli, who recently graduated from UVA with her master's. And she has been absolutely inspiring to work with. And we have been able to expand on the data analysis and reporting that we're providing to our customers. We're offering management training. There's, the whole onboarding and configuration process is pretty standard, but we get it done very quickly. So that's definitely a strength for us. And we're constantly updating, improving all of the resources in our knowledge center. And that's definitely an important way in which we engage our customers. It's one thing to evaluate an employee, understand where they stand today. It's another thing to understand what their opportunities for growth are and how to have a difficult conversation with someone, how to retain your top talent and celebrate their success. All of that information is in our knowledge center. And that's definitely something that during our prospecting calls and when we're talking to customers and we're looking at opportunities to engage the workforce, the knowledge center is definitely something that's worth talking about. Recently, with Samantha's help, we were able to pull together a number of resources and put them in our knowledge center that speak to what now, what next. Again, I'm evaluating an employee and I find out that they're a B- or a B or a B+, let's say. And now I have the insights that are being generated by the system that share with me as a manager, here's where this person stands today, and here's some very basic things you should know about this employee. So, and give specific recommendations, actionable items for them to follow up on. And taking that a step further, there's some recommended actions that they can take. So we recently rolled out these series of management cue cards. We put them in the Knowledge Center, and 2 of our customers are using them and cutting them out and putting them on keychains and making sure that their managers have access to their management cue cards at all times. And that's driving even more activity to the Knowledge Center. Really fun, exciting stuff going on in customer success management, and so proud of the job that Samantha Clavelli has done. Talking about utilization quickly and some of our utilization stats. I think this data speaks for itself in this slide. Again, we've collected close to 6,000 evaluations. We've definitely, probably, I would guess, since the time I pulled the data yesterday, we've exceeded 6,000 evaluations while we're sitting here today. So pretty exciting, the amount of data that we're collecting month over month, and we continue to trend upward. The Spark data that we're layering on top of that is exciting as well, because we're evaluating our people, we're understanding where they stand, and then we're engaging the manager with having real-time feedback, conversations, delivering feedback in real time with their employees in the moment when it counts. The Spark activity tripled in the month of September. And again, that's just a whole nother layer of data that we're collecting. And as I mentioned earlier, most of our customers will complete monthly assessments and then Spark weekly. Total evals and Sparks approaching 7,500 very quickly. And as Andrew pointed out the other day, when we start looking at this data set and looking at the 15 questions that we're answering each time we collect an assessment, we will be approaching 100,000 data points in total. And that's just with the evaluation questions. There are so many other data points that we can dive into as well, but this data set is going to be massive. All right, with that, I would love to take a breath and let Mike Anthony dig into our marketing strategy and talk about increasing brand awareness, which we've been working on since the beginning of this year, our content strategy and how important that is, and then lastly, SEO and SEM.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa. As Lisa mentioned, we're a small but mighty bunch here, and in the last investor call, we described the 4 quadrants that we've been focused on. It's kind of your basic blocking and tackling in efforts of marketing. The SEO and SEM efforts in terms of search are vital to our outreach, and SEO from a standpoint of the search engines knowing who we are and then being able to capture that through different keyword terms, starting that in March of this year. And then building upon that when we introduced SEM, which is paid search, into the program come late July, early August. What I can tell you is that that is significantly paid off, and we'll show you some information on that here shortly. So traffic continues to grow, and not only does it continue to grow, but we also are able to analyze that and find that we're getting better quality traffic just versus quantity. And we'll touch on that here in a minute. So the team's being able to evaluate this type of traffic, and then what is it going to take eventually to get to the point where we can start to have inbound leads from this. So quality traffic eventually to turn into inbound leads. That's music to my ears from a sales standpoint. I love that. But not only that, there's 2 other areas that are very, very important to our marketing efforts, and that's the content marketing and email marketing. Building better content on the site that then helps us helps our SEO and SEM efforts in terms of keyword terms and capturing better traffic. But then from an outbound standpoint, being able to evangelize and promote Truvelop in ways that, I mean, right now, that's actually what most companies have been doing for a while, but most companies don't do it very well. What I will tell you is with the small but mighty that we have, we're doing it extremely well. And we know that because, again, we're seeing better traffic come to the site. And not only that, the outbound efforts from an email marketing standpoint have been very targeted recently with construction and building trades, the remote workforce and healthcare areas that we focus on with that outreach. Tremendous. And we're starting to see very good response rates from that as well. And then last but not least, the marketing team has the application filed for the Truvelop trademark. And why is that important? Because right now, because of our digital marketing efforts, we're now starting to see more and more searches on our branded term, which is Truvelop. And that's exciting because, once again, that puts us on the map. That's allowing us to stay relevant against our competitors out there. And that's just huge. Next slide, Lisa. So this is really important when we take a look at traffic, as I was mentioning before, the type of traffic that we've been able to see over a period of time. You might look at this and say, what the hell does this really mean? It means that we're getting much better traffic to the site. The visitors to the site, the new users that we see month over month from July through September, where you can see that the numbers almost double from users to new users. We can also see that people are spending more time as they click in the activity on the site with new page views, increased page views month over month, and not only that, unique page views, which come from your unique users or new users. So those numbers in terms of September, we're just seeing that double month over month, and the average time on page, the engagement with the site. We know that we're bringing in good traffic, we're bringing in good qualified traffic, and people are then not only they're doing multiple visits, and the site is remaining more and more sticky. So people are spending more time. Average session duration now is over 3 minutes, whereas back in July it was only 1 minute. That's big news, exciting news. Lisa, next.
Got it. So one thing that we did want to share, and I hope that all of you are following us on LinkedIn. This is all about building a community and building a following. We launched our sponsored posts on LinkedIn to increase that brand awareness and drive additional traffic to the site. LinkedIn historically has been very expensive to invest in paid ads. We have been able to do multiple ads and have spent roughly $750 since launching this on August 20th to do some sponsored ads. And this has driven 70,000 impressions, which ultimately resulted in 319 clicks to the Truvelop site. That is great, and we definitely plan on continuing our presence on LinkedIn. So please, anytime you see something relevant, whether it's a blog post or a post from Mike, myself, please share Truvelop on our behalf and get our message out to your incredible networks. Every person on this call has an awesome network. So each and every time that you can share one of our posts and expand our messaging, please do so. I'll give a shout out to Bob Berry because Bob Berry does this very well in always sharing our posts and adding his own personal context. And that's really helpful as well. So
very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Another element too with this, folks, is that's extremely important is this type of advertising, while it is awareness and can obviously drive some direct traffic from LinkedIn, it really builds our brand quite well with search. So the searches that you see on our branded terms from Truvelop, they start to increase more and more, and that's exactly what we've seen over the last several months. And initiatives like this on LinkedIn really help build that even more.
Absolutely. All right, so Mike, we'll jump into sales and take a break after sales to answer some questions and see if there's anything anyone would like to discuss in further detail. So just giving you a heads up on that.
Great. And thanks again. And folks, sales, I can only imagine the last several months have been amazing, quite frankly, because as I started here full-time pretty much in June, we were resetting after a kind of a crisis pandemic period, right? We're coming out of this, what I like to refer to as the dark ages, with many companies that just weren't doing a whole lot, obviously, justifiably so. But what we needed to do is we needed to get back to basics as far as what are the building elements of sales, what's important, and that is a healthy lead pipeline, right? And building that lead pipeline. And what that looks like is it's the lifeblood of your sales force. So we started to build our lead pipeline in what we call marketing qualified leads. So does this person fit Truvelop's target persona within the C-level, or HR, or operations, or IT, all the various roles within organizations that really help make a decision, like implementing Truvelop. So that's really important. And what I'm really happy to tell you is that over the course of the last few months, Q2 to Q3, we've built our lead pipeline in terms of the MQLs quite a bit. We've more than doubled it. So to give you an example, in Q2, we had 685 leads that grew to over 1,600 in Q3. I think that that's really important because the team made a significant effort with trying to find more qualified leads to put into our pipeline. What are we able to do with that? Well, we're able to increase our outbound activity then. We're able to increase our email sequences. We're able to increase our outbound efforts through LinkedIn and the messages that we send out there. We've been able to experience open rates that have been anywhere from 37 to 41% based on the different months. We've had response rates somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3%, which I think is good based on the fact, again, we really didn't have a solid brand several months ago that was being recognized, and now it is. And we're getting responses from that. So much so that we had 4 meetings booked from that outreach, the direct email outreach that we were doing in Q3 with new deals that we entered into the pipeline. And that was really big for us to see. It was a great shot in the arm for the sales team. And if you jump to the next slide here, Lisa, I think what's even more important that we can talk about here is the meetings and what we've been able to establish over a period of time. Again, looking at the previous quarter to the last quarter in terms of Q3, we've increased, we've had over 144 meetings in the last 2 quarters. 102 of those are in Q3 alone. We've been able to build our lead pipeline, as I said, from that over 1,600 leads versus 685 in Q2. We're averaging 8.5 meetings a week in the last quarter versus Q2. So again, activity that is very vital to the sales process. And we know that it's working because we've been able to close more deals. While it's not as many as I'd like to be closing right now, we certainly have seen that build over time with bigger and better deals in terms of the sales qualified leads that are in the pipeline. And I think, as Lisa mentioned earlier, we just closed a deal here in early Q4 for apartment turnovers for a little under $10,000 in ACV, which I think is just amazing. And some of the charts, and you see charts and diagrams all the time, but yes, that bottom chart, that's a hockey stick. And what's important about that hockey stick uplift is that we're seeing an increase in new deals going into the pipeline from all this activity that we've been able to pick up on over the last quarter over quarter. And that's just extremely happy. I couldn't be more proud of our small, mighty team because we've put a lot into this to help build this to this point. Next slide, Lisa. So what does the pipeline look like? We're looking at closing key opportunities that are better deals. What I like to say is we're spending more time with prospects, 2 to 3 meetings, 2 to 3 demos at times with certain prospects That's helping us keep active sales qualified leads, those deals in the pipeline, and keep them moving in a good positive direction. Right now in the current pipeline for this quarter, we have about $275,000 in ARR opportunity. That represents over 1,700 new potential employees on the platform from different companies. And even better yet, we've seen our average contract value go from somewhere around $8,000 to $9,000 to about $13,000 in the pipeline right now. Again, better deals, better qualified opportunities. We have about $25,000 that we're looking to close for this current month, and November and December just continue to grow even more. We just had a couple new deals added. We were on a call today with Redeem Healthcare, which is a small company, but again, you know, they see a solution like Truvelop as being one of the best things for their type of company right now as they continue to grow. 50 employees now, they anticipate being at 75 to 100 around the corner because of the type of business they're in. They see that growing even more and more. So that's really exciting. And then I know that during over this period, we've had a client that we've been talking to off and on, which is Sunrise Senior Living, and I'm not going to steal Lisa's thunder. I'll let her talk to you about that.
Oh, thanks, Mike. So I did talk to Mike right before the call as I was getting off of a call with the head of talent development at Sunrise, and we have a verbal commitment to commence a pilot at Sunrise after the first of the year. That would be the potential for ARR right around $100,000, which clearly is a huge win for us. Next step will be starting to plan for that pilot that we would kick off right after the first of the year.
Awesome. So we're moving in a great direction. We certainly appreciate all your support. I think it's made I think it's made all the difference in the world, and we're looking at bigger and better things as we move along. I think some other news in terms of new developments is, you know, we are aggressively approaching this quarter and the beginning of next year in a way where we're setting more goals to bring in new qualified leads each month. So we're focusing on about 500. I'd like to see about 1,000, but you know, that's my stretch goal. We're going to continue to do that, where we focus on about 125 to 200 qualified leads a week. And then we want to be able to convert those leads. Again, basic blocking and tackling in sales is we want to be able to qualify more leads to get about 20 to 25 new deals into the pipeline every month, establish a meeting cadence of 8 to 10 meetings a week. And we're being really aggressive with that. I'd like to see at least 4 closes a month. So I say this to Lisa all the time, and you know, she gulps a little bit. I say, we can do this. I know that we can do this. And again, with your continued support, we're going to be able to make that happen. I also want to point out that we're developing some new things. Number one, the sales team is utilizing tools. And again, with your support, we've been able to utilize tools like a sales intelligence platform, which we're testing right now, which is called GrowBots. What GrowBots allows you to do is it goes out and it sniffs the entire web for different contacts that fit our personas, and then puts it into a platform where you can easily pick out the people that you want to reach out to, and helps put those into sequences for your outbound efforts. It's an amazing tool. It's helping tremendously right now, and we're testing that with our sales team. And last but definitely not least, most importantly, we've been able to bring on a sales development intern. His name is Max Butchke. I've known Max since he was like 6 years old, and he just graduated from Lehigh University with a degree in marketing. He also is commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army National Guard. He's a very driven human being. He brings a whole new level of energy to the team, and he's been working with us for about the last 4 weeks. So we're really excited to have him on board, and he's continuing to help build our pipeline. And again, I wanted to say thank you again for all your support, and we look forward to bigger and better things as we move ahead.
Awesome.
That's a wrap.
Thanks, Mike.
And like Lisa said, take a deep breath, because I just talked a lot as well.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm going to go ahead and show the participant screen and give everyone an opportunity to comment or share any other feedback that they'd like to share at this time. So we'll take a little breather. Anyone with questions, comments?
I'll comment, Lisa. This is Bob.
Hi, Bob.
First and foremost, thanks for the shout out. Not needed, but very impressive numbers for you guys. In the pipeline looks strong. And the number of meetings is crazy, and congrats on Sunrise. I think if we can get that pilot going, that'll be a huge leap for us. Also, I think what it'll do is somebody that size will get us into the question marks and some of the larger customers that we've been talking, that Mike, you and I have been talking about with the VOAs and Cisco's. And if we can get somebody like that to jump on board, it'll be a little easier for the sale to get some of those larger enterprise companies to come on board as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? If not, we can keep plowing forward.
Yeah, Lisa, I guess I just had a bit of a question, which is when we, you know, the success we've had in expanding some of the longer term customers, and it's always been a bit of discussion about when's the right time to, you know, go and help them move to that sort of next level, because obviously they're already a customer. So the effort to get them to expand the number of ERDs is a good deal for us.
Mhm.
What's your sense around the time they need to be on sort of a pilot plan, or, you know, getting comfortable with the platform before they're ready to make that next step?
A quick pilot turnaround, Andrew, would be 3 months. At a minimum, you need 3 months to just, and that would be a smaller pilot.
Yeah.
Larger pilots, you need to assume a 6-month pilot period. That gives you the opportunity to really dig into the data and start accumulating data week over week. But I would say 6 months is really the key to a successful pilot.
So when we were looking at the sales pipeline, Mike, and I know you guys are taking a sort of a conservative approach in terms of probability conversion and all sorts of things if you look at the numbers there, but those ARRs, are they based on pilots or full potential? Just so I wanted to just clarify.
That's based on if it's a pilot. I mean, we identify them, as you can see over under, you know, beside the deal name area, we identify if it's going to be a pilot or not. So someone like Clean Office at the top there, we'd probably start them around 100 employees as a pilot to get them going. And as Lisa said, at a minimum 3 months, and then expand accordingly, whether that's 100 employees at a time or whether they want to move in with a full implementation. But yeah, so, you know, right now that 300 number in terms of, that's the total number of employees that they have. And then the opportunity itself, the ACV does represent, or the ARR opportunity does represent what the actual sale would be initially for the product.
Got it. So these, if we were looking at, again, the sort of the pipeline and timing of this, so anything here that's flagged as a pilot has the potential to obviously expand.
Yes.
Pretty substantially, if I'm looking at some of these numbers in the price.
Correct. You know,
Okay.
like well, Sunrise Senior Living, as Lisa was pointing out earlier, that could be huge. So really excited about it.
I mean, if they put all 9,500, we'd be our ACV on that would be substantially bigger than 44,000. That's for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Hey, Lisa, this is Andrew Jenneret. Congratulations on getting where you guys have been, particularly given everything that's going on with C19. So that's great to see the progress. When you talked about the 3 and the 6 month pilots, what are some of the reasons if somebody decides not to use the product that doesn't have to do with, hey, we just can't afford it right now? What do they say to you in case, like if I'm talking to other people, I want to be armed with like that next level? Why don't they take the next step?
as far as if they're coming out of pilot, or
Yeah, if they don't say, hey, the pilot's going to turn into a sale, you know, it's not right for them at this point in time. You know, I know people will say I can't afford it, but like what are the other reasons besides that, or maybe there aren't any, that
well,
they don't move forward as a customer?
well, interestingly enough, Andrew, we haven't had that situation where somebody came out of pilot and chose not to continue. So, you know, it's really the pilot is, can we get the change management off the ground? If it is a really difficult management team or a management team that may not be really comfortable with technology, that's going to take longer for adoption. And if it's so foreign to them to move from an annual review to a continuous performance management approach. But the pilots are typically, so far we're batting 1,000 on pilot conversion to expansion.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, and it is a great question, Andrew, because you know that is one of the things that we looked at from a sales perspective when you're asking questions and helping to qualify the potential opportunity. You know, one of the first things we ask is, you know, have you taken a look at a more continuous performance evaluation? You know, so more frequent evaluations as a strategy for your organization. And usually they're like, yeah, we're open to that right now, because we know that the annual or, you know, semi-annual type of approach is definitely, it's not a winning solution in many cases. But it's having them become more comfortable with that idea of a more continuous performance approach. And then from there, identifying what Truvelop does and how it fits into that. And of course, how that can make that even easier and simpler for them to implement.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I just wanted to add to, just to clarify for everybody here, pilots are paid for. They're not a freebie.
Right.
Yeah, typically
So,
pilots are paid for, right?
Yep.
What I would say is, you know, we would identify it as a free trial. And a free trial, typically, which we don't do too many of, it really does, it would have to qualify as like a specific type of opportunity for us to do that. A free trial could be, you know, like maybe 30 days. But during that 30 days, they have to meet certain requirements where they're keeping up certain activity, they're implementing certain things for us where we can identify that data and then help feed that back to them to show them the results. That's the only way that we would really do a free trial.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Andrew again. I'd be interested in the Sunrise Senior Living pilot, how it goes, because I'm in senior living now. I know they're a for-profit, but I'm in a not-for-profit, but we're pretty big size. So I'd be interested to see how they react to it, because that might help me to talk to other people in senior living, you know, about the experience. So, you know,
Sure.
that's what I know. So when you guys start to get data on that, let me know.
Oh, believe me, Andrew, we'll be reaching out. We're trying to put together a case study.
Absolutely. And Andrew, one of the things I'll just add to that. One of the things that has worked really well for us during the pilot phase is having our customers speak with anyone who's in pilot. So whether that's a Kathy Hum from a Harkins, or Ellen Hafner over at First Financial, or someone who's in a similar space, we encourage them to share best practices and talk about what worked and why the adoption was strong, and really talk through the lessons learned. So we've created this really great user community where they're openly sharing ideas across customer lines, which is pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, that's great.
I also anticipate having someone like Kim on board, which I'm so excited about, is going to have a lot of information, you know, kind of insight for us as we move ahead with certain types of organizations and in industries that where she's been working with people. I think that's going to be extremely helpful for us as well.
No doubt. Andrew, any other comments before we move on?
No, I think we should move on and get through the next section, and then obviously have additional Q&A, and then close out on time, Lisa, for sure, or a little bit ahead of time, hopefully.
Okay, you got it. You got it. So last section that we're entering into right now talks to our path forward. We'll talk a little bit about our continued cash conservation efforts, review the financials, Andrew will spend some time talking about the current investment raise, and then we'll basically talk about next steps and where we go from here. Let me minimize the group. Okay, so year-to-date financials, a couple of comments with respect to our cash conservation efforts. We continue to keep our operating expenses around $26,000 a month, down from what we were spending earlier this year. And as we discussed previously, we've shifted our product and G&A costs to sales and marketing to focus on additional revenue growth. And we did that for a number of reasons. Most notably, because our investment in the product upfront with Joey's leadership and One Rivet has certainly paid off because our product is stable and our utilization numbers speak for themselves. Right now, currently, we're spending roughly $5,000 to $6,000 a month to support our paid advertising, content marketing, SEO, and SEM initiatives. And we want to continue to spend in those areas to drive that brand awareness and generate inbound leads so Mike and his team can do their thing. And as we discussed earlier, we are starting to see traction in this area. And that is directly tied to that investment and our continued brand awareness. So going forward, we'll continue to operate as lean as possible and keep our spend low. We like to leverage interns. We have an intern on the marketing side in addition to the sales side. And we also rely on very strong junior team members that can do a lot of different things. And that's obviously helping as well to keep our overhead low. And fortunately for us, we're also able to leverage Andrew on the legal side to spend the countless hours it takes for legal review, having all the documentation reviewed, redlined, ready to go so that we can keep our legal expenses down. That's absolutely been a huge benefit for us, and we can't thank Andrew enough. And also taking advantage of programs like Microsoft for Startups to avoid recurring hosting costs. I apply for any and all grants that come my way. No grant is too small for Truvelop to apply for, believe me. And we will continue to do that. And hopefully we'll gain some traction there as well. And all of this is meant to help us achieve that 250 ARR target. The financials that we reviewed on the previous slide are through August. What we've presented here is our actuals and then forecasting out September through December. With respect to the forecast, we are assuming a very conservative assumption of 2 customers per month through the end of the year. And that would be to reach 170,000 ARR marker by year end. Keep in mind that this is $80,000 below our June projection, and partly because we had an enterprise customer, Sunrise, built into our projection. So as I mentioned earlier, with Sunrise verbally committing to a pilot commencing in January 2021 with an ARR just under 100,000, that's significant for us. And clearly, if we meet our year-end numbers in conjunction with Sunrise, we will have exceeded that 250 ARR target. To be more conservative, our forward plan assumes that we would achieve that critical milestone by May 2021 without Sunrise considered. And again, that conversation happened literally before the call, 30 minutes prior. So I think that's where we leave that. And then with that, Andrew, the next piece would be to go into the cash summary.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. And look, for folks that want to come back and we can review some of the financials, if you've got additional questions, Lisa, certainly Doug, myself, happy to dig into those. Just also wanted to touch base quickly, Lisa. I appreciate the shout out on the legal side, but we could never have done this without Nelson Mullins and the support of Tim Hodge. They have set the base and the foundation for us and continue to support us in an incredibly powerful way. And I can't look at this page without thinking about Tim and the hours that he spent helping figure out all the nuances and changes and things that we've had to do. So again, just want to make sure folks are very clear that Nelson Mullins is still solidly with us, and Tim has just done a fabulous job to help us get here. Again, just another example of one of our investors who has really leaned into to make this scrappy little team continue to succeed. So look, I think the last time we spoke, we had indicated that we were looking at closing out the prior Series A, which is where we had been raising money from 2019 through 2020. And so the board has authorized the closure of that round. That was effective end of June. And in July, we authorized a new capital raise. So what you're seeing here is the summary of what we call the Series A2. I would be more than happy to share with folks the full term sheet for the Series A2, but let me walk through the summary of this so that folks get oriented. So firstly, under the prior capital in 2018, a lot of us participated in that. Was the early seed round. We raised about 325,000. In mid 2019, April 2019, we launched the Series A round. And under that round, which we closed, again, as I mentioned, just in June, we raised about 600,000. In the course of that, we've issued about 5 million units of stock, common stock. And then when we closed the preferred A stock, all of you that participated in that round were converted and issued stock A preferred units. And that totaled just under 0.8 million of units issued. So that's a little bit where we stand on the cash raised to date. Obviously, this 925,000 that's sitting up under the seed capital in the Series A, that is largely what's gone into, firstly and foremost, build the stable product that we have. And I think for the effort expended and the support of One Rivet, the work of Joey and the team, we've really done a fabulous job to get that done effectively. The other thing, of course, it has done is to help us to build the brand, start the sales team, start the process, and really start moving us forward. So as we come into the preferred Series A2, the pre-raise valuation we're targeting is 1.875 million. Now, for those of you that were well aware of this, this is a lower valuation than the Series A. So in common terms, we have taken a down round. I think given the COVID and where we're at, this is a very practical and sensible thing to do. And as a recognition of where the industry is at in general. And I think the fact that we are still maintaining our customer base, we're growing that customer base, and we're continuing to be prevalent in the marketplace where a lot of other small businesses and entities have already collapsed is a testament to what we're doing. So we're reorienting the valuation. We have the flexibility under this Series A to raise 700,000. As we talked earlier and Lisa indicated on the financials, the intention is really to use a portion of that 700, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, to continue to advance our sales and marketing efforts and continue our customer success management to really focus on driving the revenue top line growth. So there's minimal product development. We're really focused on the product support, which of course One Rivet is continuing to support, and Joey is also supporting us in that. We've targeted a closing for this next round of 31st of December. We can obviously extend that date if we need. The unit offered price is 0.32 or 32 cents per unit of this Series A2 preferred. For those of you that participated in the original Series A preferred, just on the right-hand side, you'll find that the term sheet basically reiterates all of the same preferred rights that typically were in place for the Series A. So those have been conveyed. And so there's not a significant change in the underlying terms. I guess the key thing that we have not discussed at this point is that the prior venture funds that we've been in discussion with, and we've had a lot of talk pre-COVID about all of the raises and approaches we were making to potential larger funds that would write checks to come in. And again, earlier in the year, pre-COVID, we discussed at length how the reality is getting to this 250 ARR number, the 300 ARR number, is a critical milestone. That remains so, but two of the active funds that were really very close to coming into us pre-COVID, one was TEDCO, which is a Maryland state-backed fund, and the other one was Momentum Fund. I'll be happy, Lisa, if you want to add additional comments. But we are pretty excited because TEDCO has come back to the table. We're in discussions with them right now with this Series A2, and they have indicated that they will fund. And actually, they will fund with lower constraints that they were originally proposing earlier in the year, which we basically rejected. So more work to be done there. And the reason I'm raising this because I expect what we'll see from TEDCO is a bit of a, you match other fundraisers and we'll match with TEDCO funds. So we don't know the exact terms yet, but I want to keep you posted on this because if you're interested in the Series A2, if you're interested in continuing to support, and we will need supportive investors over the coming 3 months, 5 months, there's an opportunity for us to get at least dollar for dollar matching, which is really important for the company. Momentum Fund, again, very clear, they're very definitely interested, but they are looking for that 250 ARR hurdle. So again, if we remain on track and we're successful, as Lisa indicated with Sunrise, we would be comfortably in that range in the first quarter of next year. Latest would be April, May. So that's why we've floated this number around 700,000 out there. That would be the upper end under this raise, but our hope would be to minimize this capital raise at this valuation and obviously have success on the revenue side, have a stronger case to return back to the market with a higher valuation, and then issue a Series A3, if we want to call it that, at a different valuation, at a higher share unit price. And of course, to optimize the existing shareholder value that we have for all of us that are investors today. So let me, I think, pause there, Lisa, if it makes sense, and open the floor to questions, either around the capital raise or around the prior financial pages and summary that you presented. Silence is golden.
Everybody's muted, Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, I think following this call, and I certainly, would like to speak with a number of you individually about the Series A2. We are moving forward on that, and I think, Lisa, with that, why don't we just go to the summary statement if there's no questions at this point. So look, to recap, and Lisa, weigh in here, Mike, but first and foremost, most critical for us right now is continuing the success we've seen on the digital marketing strategy. It is providing, vital brand lift and lead generation. And, with the work that Mike and the team have been doing over the last 3 to 4 months, where we've really finally been able to bring the different threads of SEO, SEM, the rebrand of Truvelop, all those different things together, we really are seeing this additional investment bring increased momentum. And I think that is clear in the the lead generation, the number of meetings, and the momentum that we're getting there. So again, hats off to you, Mike and team, for the effort, but also to all of the investors here. This is really paying dividends, and we expect it to pay dividends going forward. The consequence of that is obviously a strong sales pipeline that Mike walked us through, and that's continuing to develop. And one of the things that I took away from that was just, apart from the number in that pipeline, but the fact that the opportunity and the ACV value is going up is a testament that we are climbing up the ladder in terms of size of client. And for this business, that is, if we can achieve that and continue to achieve that, that's going to pay us huge dividends in terms of scaling our model and basically scaling our costs that support that delivery of that solution to the market. So we're on track to achieve that magic 250 ARR, plus or minus. It'll be either early Q1 or it'll be later Q1 into Q2. We're taking a conservative approach there, and we're certainly managing our cash on the conservative side on a slower uptake. But at this point, I mean, the indications are we're going to be likely on the optimistic side of that. But let's see. We have to be prudent at this time. Clearly, the ongoing channel partner development is important. Lisa spoke to that. Again, creating new channels, new lifts, new opportunities, the support that Kim can bring to the table through her efforts as well. It's a huge lift for us. And finally, the expansion of existing customers. I did ask that question innocently earlier. It was not a leading question, but the magnitude of what we can get from expanding from pilot to a larger group of EE or employees on the platform is it's still an untapped potential that we have the ability to really, really scale the platform. So I mentioned the funds revisiting, the investment, TEDCO, and Momentum. For those of you that are familiar with those, have additional questions, I think Lisa is very, very close to that situation, happy to fill you in. The Series A2, as I discussed, we've launched. Our immediate goal is to raise 400,000. So while we've put a cap in there for 700, the real goal is 400, because that number should comfortably get us through the end of the first quarter of next year. And that's really where we need to give the runway for Lisa, Mike, the team to really deliver the results. We already have 100,000 of that secured and locked. So that's the first step. So we are certainly looking to raise additional and potentially get some matching funds from TEDCO would be the first port of call. And then if we can get our revenue scale up, then obviously we have the Momentum Fund is next in line. And that's why we've set the threshold under this raise between 400 to 700, because depending on how quickly or how fast these funds come in, we want additional headroom in that raise. So that's I think the summary of today's investor call. Again, personally from my side, thank you so much for participating today. But more importantly, thank you for the support as an investor, but also as a proponent of Truvelop. And I think every single one of you on this call has lent out the window, done things that have been very, very supportive in any number of ways. And again, for a small venture like ours in an early startup phase, that kind of support from investors is as important as having cash, and cash is an investment. So again, thanks very, very much to all of you as investors. Lisa, Mike, again, we all, and I'll speak on behalf of the investors here because I know they feel it. You guys are doing a fabulous job on the ground, reshaping this, taking it, moving quickly, adapting, doing the right things, testing, then driving forward. I mean, it's just all the right things. It's what we want to see in an agile young company that's trying to grow and develop. So our thanks to you as the management team for the efforts you're making. So with that, let me take a breath and open this to any final comments or questions from investors.
Nope.
Okay, well, nobody's going to have the final say, or as you said, Bob, it's not silence is golden, it's mute.
Yeah, they just forgot to unmute themselves, Andrew. Don't worry, it's all good.
Everybody's talking, but you just can't hear.
Hey,
Exactly.
I'll just echo what Andrew said. Lisa and Mike, you guys are amazing results from what we faced in the last 6 months, and doing some awesome stuff. So appreciate all your hard effort, and I'll continue to do what I can to support you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Andrew, thank you. Good talking to you. I'm going to jump, you guys.
Yep. No, thanks, Bob.
Thanks again.
All right, folks. Well, if there wasn't additional comments, Lisa, I think we should close this out. Let people get on with their day. You know, just as a follow-up, I will be reaching out. Lisa will be reaching out to a number of you, certainly to talk about additional feedback you have on what we've presented today, any questions you have, and also touch on the Series A too. So again, appreciate your time, folks, and have a great rest of your day and rest of the week.
Thanks, Andrew.
Lisa, you want to close?
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank
Kim. Thanks, Joey. Doug, take care, everybody.
Everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.